Hello, people. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so we'll jump right into our topic today, as usual. Um, the topic for today is child slavery. Slavery in general, just modern day slavery, human trafficking. And it's off of a news article that I saw. Well, I saw a couple of different news articles, but I just picked this one to kind of give you the synopsis of this story and why I wanted to talk about this topic today. And it's basically child slavery, okay? Many people don't realize that we still have modern day slavery going on today. Like, it's still an issue. It's still going on. It may not look the way you think it's going to look. It may not be people like on a block, being, sold off, being auctioned off or anything like that. It looks a little different, but at the end of the day, it's still slavery. It's still people in bondage. It's still people doing things that they don't want to do for somebody else's gain. Okay, that's slavery. And this story kind of shed a light on that. So the story is, it's about child slavery, basically. And this article that I'm gonna review, kind of or go over, is kind of like from the AP News. Excuse me. It's about a South African woman who was sentenced to life in prison for selling her daughter. Okay. So the South African woman name is Raquel Chantel Smith. Raquel Chantel Smith. She goes by Kelly Smith. She was sentenced to life in prison for selling her 6-year-old daughter. 6-year-old daughter. Her daughter name is Jocelyn Smith. She was sentenced to prison along with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend name is Joaquin Apollos. And then also another one of their friends was also involved in in this child slavery business. Stefano Van Rijn, okay? They were convicted of kidnapping and human trafficking charges. So Jocelyn, which is her 6-year-old daughter, went missing back in February of 2024. And I remember seeing articles about this and reading about this, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like, I hope they find this child. I hope everything is okay. But of course, things, change after a little bit, okay? A witness testified that Smith had told her that the child was sold to a traditional healer for around $1,000. Okay, for her body parts, $1,000. Okay, she was sold to a traditional healer for $1,000 for her body parts. The judge's verdict did not conclude who the child was sold to or what exactly happened to her. So those things are still unknown. They came up with this verdict and with this sentencing just based off eyewitness and the situation. And I'm sure they had valid reasons, and they had good eyewitnesses and they had good account of the situation. But stated that she has been sold for slavery or practices similar to slavery. Okay. And this is a pretty big topic right now. And when I say right now, I mean just in general of all like in world issues, like topic in world issues and solving problems like hunger and, peace, and slavery is up there right now too. Okay. And I think people don't think about this so much because it doesn't affect them. It's not like right in their backyard, so to speak, but it is. It's kind of right in their backyard. Okay. So about this mother, to me, this mother she's not a real mother. Okay. She's just a womb, just like they say, oh, these dads out here, they're literally just sperm donors. Well, this mom was basically just a womb donor. I can't see how any real mother could sell their child. That doesn't even sell their child for $1,000, like $1,000. Okay. And the fact that there was, they said, a boyfriend involved in the situation, and another man, just let you know this child must have been in an abusive situation. There is no way I feel like this child, if that boyfriend was around and was willing to scheme to sell this child, there's no way I feel like this child was in a situation where it was just a happy, joyous situation, where it's a situation where she felt comfortable, a situation where it was conducive to, you know, the proper rearing of a child, so to speak. And none of that was like nothing good must have been happening in this household. Okay. Selling a child, she sold her child. Selling a child is horrible to begin with, right? Like any child, if any child being sold to anybody, and even the thought of that is just crazy. So selling a child is crazy, much less your own child. Your own, that's your own flesh and blood, and you're gonna sell your own flesh and blood. That is horrible. Horrible. You are, again, like so many people in this world, I don't know what's going on in this world. So evil. Like you are soulless. You're soulless. Because you hear you hear stories. I've heard stories where people doing bad things to other people's children, yet they have children of their own, and you're like, you got kids and you would do that to somebody else's child. But there is something in their heart, there's something in their spirit that stops them and says, you know what, not my kid, not my child, or my kid is special, or my kid is different. But yo, your child isn't even different. Your child isn't even special to you. You're just, and I'm not saying it's okay to sell. No children should be sold, period. We're not selling children. Okay. But the fact that you were okay and have no qualms about selling your child, and have the nerve to have, like, because when this article, or not article, I keep saying article, when the story first came out, you know, there was a search party. So you had the nerve to have people searching for your child knowing what you did. Okay. You have the nerve to do all that. So something isn't right, you know. And I've been trying to look and see other articles to see if maybe they mention, like, maybe like she wasn't like mentally there, like the capacity may have been low or something like that. So I've been kind of looking to see if maybe that's like a thing, but that wasn't mentioned, like, you know, or maybe drugs. I don't know. Maybe it was a drug filled situation. I don't know what the situation is, but to me, that's just, it's your own child for $1,000. Again, y'all, don't even get it twisted. I'm not saying, oh, it's 1,000, but it's 1,000. Like, and I'm not saying I could understand, but it would be like somewhat like, oh, you know, she sold her child for like 1.5 million or something like that. Like, that's still wrong. But there's a thought in the back of people's head that's like, dang, you must love money that much. But this is even like, to me, it's like, you don't even love money. Like, it's $1,000, 1,000 for a whole human being. And this child was beautiful. Like, I saw a picture from, and I probably should have used that picture from that other article that I saw where they actually showed the child. Okay, this child was beautiful. She had like these beautiful greenish color eyes. She was beautiful little girl. And I guess, you know, from what I've been reading too, from other sources and other articles as well, they say that this traditional healer basically wanted the child for her eyes and wanted the child for her skin. Okay, so if somebody said that to you, like, hey, I want this child for her eyes and skin, you're basically, that's murder. Like, there's no way they could just get the eyes and the skin without killing. Like, that person is going to die, like, eventually. Even if you pluck out the eyes and she's still alive, the skin, like, unless, I mean, or maybe I'm just going too drastic. Maybe when they said she wanted the eyes and the skin, maybe it's like to breed her eventually or something. Maybe that's the case. Maybe she's still out there somewhere and they're going to breed her, like, which is horrible. Like, can you imagine? Just, that's torturous. Okay. For a child growing up knowing that that's what's going to happen to her eventually. Like, she's just going to be bred out like a cow or like any old animal. But for some reason, I doubt that because they said this is a traditional healer. Um, I'm so sorry, y'all. I don't know, something is like stuck in my throat. Which maybe, which maybe it's like, I'm thinking, because I've heard, I'm not saying this is fact, okay? I've heard in South Africa, they do have a lot of, they do deal with a lot of like witchcraft and like magic and those type of things. They do believe in that a lot more. And not only in South Africa, there's a lot of other countries that I've heard similar things, you know? But for South Africans, I have heard that. So to me, I'm like traditional healer, a witch, possibly a witch. And, you know, they'll do things with body parts and with certain things. So, you know, first of all, they need to find, I'm hoping they find this healer. I'm hoping they find this person. I'm hoping they find, because $1,000 like and selling your child, oh my gosh, you deserve life imprisonment. You deserve all that. And who knows how many other children? Who knows how many other or who knows how many other children this lady? Because this may have been her own, but who knows if she captured other kids and did this to them as well? Like, who knows the story? Because this doesn't seem like a one-off situation, especially for $1,000. I'm guessing you're doing this in bulk, like bulk children, like 10 children for 10 children, $1,000 each. You know, like something is just not right here. So I'm really glad that all of them were charged and they're heading to jail. But yeah, trafficking, slavery, and all that stuff, it's still big now, y'all. Like, that's what people don't understand. It's still big. It's still going on, okay? So, from an organization called, and it's on a website, okay? It's called, this is from their website. I'm sorry, this is from their website. It's called walkfree.org, okay? They did like a global survey in 2021 that over 50 million people all over the world were living in like a modern day slavery situation. Over 50 million people, y'all. So this isn't something little. This isn't something, you know, because again, these slavery situations, they do involve trafficking, human trafficking. They do involve forced labor. You know, they do involve forced marriages. All those things, again, bondage, slavery, okay? That's all that it leads to. Over 50 million people, and it says 27.6 million were in forced labor and 22 million were in forced marriages. And, you know, this stat, because I was trying to find like updated stats, and this is the most recent one, which was from 2021. So to me, this number probably has skyrocketed, you know, since 2021. Has probably shot, you know, maybe not like crazy, but if it was 50 million in 2021, I can only imagine, you know, tacking on like another 5 million onto that at this point, you know, because things have been rough here lately. Things have been rough for the past few years, you know, after COVID. People are still struggling. People are still trying to find their footing. People are still trying to figure stuff out. And, you know, a lot of people lost homes. A lot of people, the job market is not looking that good. I guess I'm talking about here in the US, but I've seen stats for other countries as well. And it's not looking good in other countries either. Okay. So I know the situation is kind of dire, and it makes people do things that they wouldn't normally do. It forces people in situations that they wouldn't normally be in. So basically, they're saying the most affected population are women and children, specifically girls. Isn't that the case? We're, you know, the fairer gender, we're the fairer sex. So we're typically forced into situations that we don't want to be forced into because we are not as strong as male physically. So they're able to physically force us into things. And when you're thinking of children, of course, it's so easy to force children into things that they don't want to do. This website, and if y'all have a chance, you can go visit it, walkfree.org. It also gave a list of the top 10 countries with the most people involved in like modern day slavery situation. And of course, surprise, the US is on that list, of course. Okay, so they gave some numbers. Again, these numbers were from back in 2021, so things may have changed since then. Okay, and the number that they gave were India. Okay, so the first country they gave was India. It was like 11 over 11, and I would say over 11 million because I'm sure that has probably changed by now. So the number they said, India 11 million, so probably over 11 million by now, right? This was back in 2021. So that's the top country. Then China is next, right? And it was like 5.8 million, so probably over 5.8 million by now, right? North Korea was like 2.7 million, so probably over 2.7 million by now, right? And apparently, for North Korea, it's like 1 in 10 people were in like modern day slavery. But again, not much is known about that country, but it just seems to me, it almost feels like, so many people in that country are in bondage. Like they want to get out. They're forced to do things that they don't want to do. So that 1 in 10 number, I mean, that's one of those stats that don't sound too far off for me with that country. In Pakistan, 2.3 million people, probably over 2.3 million people. In Russia, they said 1.9 million people. Now probably over that amount, over 1.9 million. Okay, in Indonesia, which, golly, Indonesia isn't even really that big, 1.8 million people. Like that number to me for Indonesia is staggering, that many people. And in Nigeria, it's 1.6 million people. So now probably over 1.6 million people, and these were estimations, y'all, okay? Estimations. So there's probably more. And maybe at the time of these estimations, they had 1.6 as an estimate, but it maybe was like 5. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying these were estimations based off what they could see, feedback from that country, polls, whatever they could get. Because a lot of these countries, it's hard to really tell too, because you got to think they're like third world. Some of these countries are third world, so it's hard to get the stats because who knows what's going on in very rural, let me say rural, very rural areas. Of course, in Turkey, I know that's changed. I know now it's not Turkey, it's Turkey. So hopefully I said that right. It's like 1.3 million people. I'll just say Turkey, 1.3 million people. In Bangladesh, 1.2 million, probably over that by now. And of course, on that list of 10 is the United States with 1.1 million people. So that's quite a lot of people that are in slavery situations. And what people don't realize about a lot of these slavery situations is, okay, a lot of these people, they're being recruited. So a lot of these people were recruited offline, and you can get a lot of children that way. They're being recruited offline. They're being told, sometimes that, hey, there's this great job opportunity, or, hey, come to this country because we have a better opportunity in this country, excuse me, than in the country that you're in. My voice sounds so raspy right now. It's ridiculous. Than in the country that you're in. And of course, they're like, oh, well, of course I want to come to this country for a better life. Of course I want to go here for a better life. Of course. And, they're told that they're going to probably work in an indentured type servant type of situation, which some people are okay with, and basically an indentured type servant situation is if they were to say, hey, I come and I work for home and food, and in return I'll work for this amount of time. It's like they have a set amount of time, and then I'll pay that off to gain, after that is done, to gain my way out of this situation. So that's kind of like one of those situations, and then many people are willing to do that. And then some people, they're just basically forced. You know, I heard of a situation probably a couple days, not days, I'm sorry, a couple years ago, of like a young girl who went to a basketball game and was snatched up. You know, she was snatched up because to be trafficked for sex. So she was put in that situation, and her family was trying to find her. She was just at a basketball game with her family, and now, you know, turn around, you know, she's now being forced to possibly turn tricks. You know, again, slavery, human trafficking, and slavery. So again, people, it doesn't look like what you think it's going to look like. Okay, the people that are forced, you know, they'll be told, hey, there's this great job opportunity in the U.S. You come and we'll do that, you know, but they're not really getting those job opportunities, right? They're being taken, and what happened is they're working, yes. So you may see them working at like a restaurant someplace. So, and you may think, oh, they want to be there, you know, they're serving you, and you don't know, like those people, they're slaves. The people that's serving you at that restaurant, there are slaves because they're working, but they're not really getting that paycheck, and they can't leave because they're threatened. And a lot of them, they are threatened. They're threatened with violence against their family back home. They're threatened with violence against them. They're threatened with being sent back home to a dangerous situation that they were probably in. You know, they're being threatened, and there's nothing they can do about it because it's either they stay in that situation in hopes that maybe they can escape into something better, or, you know, death, or being sent back to something worse than death. And yeah, if you think, oh, there's nothing worse than that, imagine being tortured. Okay, being tortured is worse than death. Sometimes, you know, like, and a lot of these people are. So these situations can get, and here's the thing too with a lot of these trafficking situations, and they're doing it with children because they like to get those underage girls, you know, those underage girls, 15, 16, those are children. People, those are children. They get those, and then they get those people, and they try to get them to go to like these parties with men, and they force them into those, they snatch them up and force them into those type of situations. So trafficking, trafficking and modern day slavery basically kind of go hand in hand a lot of the times. Of course, you know, the marriages and child labor and the marriages and all that stuff, the forced laborers and forced marriages. Of course, that's another angle to it as well that people don't think about. Like, people think, oh, you know, it's their tradition or it's their country, and, you know, that's how they do it there. That's not how a lot of times people do things. You know, they do have traditional aspect of things, but nobody is basically forced. It's like, okay, traditionally you will do this, but no, if you don't do it, it's not, you know, one of those things. And some people, they are forced into it, and they do feel like it's part of their tradition. And when that's the case, that's nothing you can do if you're saying forced to marry this person or die. You know, nobody wants to be in that situation at all. Nobody wants to be, if you don't do this, this will happen. Again, so this, you know, unfortunately, it happens to men too, but it disproportionately affects women and children more than it does, you know, men. Because of course we are the fairer gender. You know, I don't want to say weaker because we're not weaker, but you know, that word tends to have, you know, words tend to have meaning, and sometimes people put other meanings to things, and I don't think we're weaker, but we're not physically as strong as male overall in general. We're just not. We can get there, but we're just not immediately there. And so because of that, they tend to overpower women, and they tend to force us into those type of situations, or force women and children into those type of situations. So what this mother did is horrible, but there's so many people out here that are doing it, and there's nothing we can do. I don't want to say there's nothing we can do to stop it, but it's hard to, because it's sometimes so hard to recognize the sign of human trafficking, and sometimes it's hard to recognize the signs of slavery and all that stuff. So because it's hard to recognize those, but if you see anything, or hear anything, speak up. Speak up. There are websites and stuff, and I found one. I found there's a hotline that you can call, like a trafficking hotline. It's like a 1-888. The number is 1-888-373-7888. 188. And it's humantraffickinghotline.org. So humantraffickinghotline.org. And on the website, you can contact the hotline. You can report a tip. Excuse me. You can report a tip. It gives you some stats. You can view your stats by state. It gives you different cases of human trafficking. This one is in the U.S., okay? But hey, if you're in another country and you want to do it, then do it. They'll find a way to help you as well. But man, yeah, reach out. If you see something, say something. Call the police. You can call you can reach out to the hotline. It's probably easier. You can call the police if the situation is you're still unclear. And again, it doesn't have any race or color, y'all. So don't do this. Don't be one of those people that see somebody, a black child with a white, or a white child with a black person, it's not based off color. So let's stop that, okay? It's based off situations that we see that may not look right, like for real, not look right, A happy child hugging somebody, asking them for ice cream, even though they're a different color. That's not a situation where we should bother people about, because I keep hearing about all these random situations, and let's focus on the situation at hand, okay? Human trafficking, slavery. Let's try to figure out how to stop that. And again, let me go back to this. The number is 1-888-373-7888. Or you can text. Okay, you can text 233-7333. Okay, if you hear anything. And I know I'm going to keep that number on lock too, just in case I see anything or hear anything. But that's all I have to talk about today, y'all. So thank y'all for listening. If you're watching, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me today. See y'all next time.